Hey guys. Yeah. We're gonna do a little walk and talk. A walkie talk. Walkie talkie. Oh boy. Not much happening. I checked the news a little bit. You know, it's whatever. Same old political orange man bad bullshit. I don't know. And yeah, okay. I don't know. You know, it's so funny. You get these constant headlines about that the sky is falling, right? All these fucking constant headlines about the sky is falling, you know. COVID was a big, the sky is falling. AIDS was a big, the sky is falling story, you know. The drug war was a big, sky is falling story. All these sky is falling stories, you know. Like the boy who cried wolf, you know. And they never end. They never. The funniest thing about all this, this is the big story every day, is that the sky is falling. But yet it never is. And so, I mean, I don't know, whatever, though. I guess whatever. Like, people, I don't know, bro. I just don't even know what to say about it anymore. The constant sky is falling story, you know. Everybody's dropping like flies from the vaccine. Everybody's dropping like flies from COVID. Everybody's dropping like flies from drugs. Everybody's dropping like flies from having sex. It's like, so, and it's always this cry wolf, because you'll hear these stories, these big sky is falling stories, okay? But then when you go out into the real world, all pure empirical evidence suggests otherwise. You know, I don't see anybody dropping like a fly. I haven't. But then that's been one of the biggest stories of 2020, you know. It's from 2020 until now, that, everybody's just dropping like flies, you know. So that's all the story has ever been. AIDS. When did the big AIDS thing happen? You know, everybody's dropping like flies from AIDS. When did that story happen? How long ago was that? How many decades? Everybody's dropping like flies from doing drugs, you know. How long ago when did that story, you know, storm the country and the world with panic and hysteria? So it never ends, right? But like I said, you know, we see and hear these stories all the time, and every single time it's always the same, that it's just a cry wolf. And then you look at, well, why would these people be crying wolf all the time? Money, because they're making money off of it. With mainstream media and the news, it's all about ratings. If it bleeds, it leads, you know. What's that movie? Shit, what is that? Oh, Nightcrawler. Remember the movie Nightcrawler? If it bleeds, it leads. And, but then it's the same with the internet. It's funny too, like the internet is like, oh no, now we have the internet. We're going to break into the mainframe and, you know, Now that we have the internet, we're going to break into the mainframe and we're going to broadcast the truth, because mainstream media is lying to everybody. But now there's the internet, so we're just going to break into the internet mainframe and then we can broadcast the truth. Well, what's going on with the internet is the same thing with mainstream media. It's all the same. You know, COVID, everybody's dropping like flies from COVID. Everybody's dropping like flies from the vaccine. You know, Trump is the modern day Hitler, and he's gonna bring on World War III, and never, all this shit, dude. It's just like really pathetic. So that's the news today. Is the same as every other day. The sky is falling, man. But yet, here's the sky above me. Here it is. Do you guys see it falling down? Whatever. Anyhow, so I was gonna just talk about, just what's on my mind, kind of. What's been on my mind on and off for a long time, which actually relates with all this, is smoking cigarettes, because, there's another thing, that narrative has never gone away, that, everybody's dropping like flies from smoking cigarettes, Everybody's dropping like flies, And I mean, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I smoke cigarettes now. I've smoked cigarettes since I was 15, and I'm 51. Wow, look at that number inversion, huh? Weird. Yeah, I started smoking cigarettes or not, but I mean, definitely by the time I was 16, I was smoking a pack a day of cigarettes, And anyways, I quit smoking when I was like, I think 30 or 31. And then I didn't smoke cigarettes for 10 years. So it was probably like 32 or 33 is when I quit smoking cigarettes, because I quit for 10 years and then I started back up smoking again. Well, probably 9 years ago now. It's crazy, isn't it? So I quit smoking for 10 years. So I smoked a pack of cigarettes. From the time I was 16, I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day until I was 32 or 33. And then I quit smoking for 10 years. And then after 10 years, I started back up smoking. And within a few days, I was smoking a pack of cigarettes again. Anyway, so like I was having a conversation with some of my friends last night, and we started talking about cigarettes, and there were people, there was a group of us just kind of hanging out and shooting the shit, and we ended up, cigarettes came up, and some of us are smokers and some of us are not, like, and there were some of us who used to smoke and don't anymore. And I don't know, whatever your thoughts are on cigarettes and smoking. I mean, whatever, But the thing is it's all based on what we're told. So we're told, like from the Heart and Lung Association, since probably before you and I were born, the Heart and Lung Association has been blasting all over the place how everybody's dropping like flies from cigarettes. And is that true or not? I mean, honestly, like, how do you know? The only way is to just kind of observe, right? But then the problem is like the medical industry is pretty much the same as, media. The medical industry blasts out constant fear porn because the medical industry makes money off of health hysteria, like, OMG, there's this big health thing, and so you need to go to the doctor, COVID. You need to go get your COVID shots, and you need to, go get tested for, all this stuff. How much of it is real? How trustworthy is the medical field? How trustworthy is the health industry? Especially when you look at, just look at the more recent one in 2019. I mean, and so, yeah, So I'm gonna light up a cigarette. You know, but you look at all this fear porn everywhere, you know. I mean, you can't trust it. At least 9 times out of 10, it's all just bullshit, you know. But this cigarette hysteria has always been able to just kind of continue in the background, where even though we'll see all these obvious like fake hysterias, the cigarette one is a lot more people still believe it to this day. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't? No, I don't know. But so I enjoy smoking, but I'm enjoying it less as I get older, you know. So there might be something too, you know. Might be something to it, but I don't know. So but okay. And this I've talked about before, and nobody cares, you know, and that's, I don't, you know, like, well, here's a Henry Rollins quote. If I took the time to bleed from all the tiny little arrows shot my way, I wouldn't be here, right? I wouldn't waste my time doing a video if I took the time to bleed from all the tiny little arrows shot my way, yeah? So, like, if I talk about something that to me seems important and I get mostly ignored, which is fine. It doesn't matter. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, being ignored is just more tiny little arrows shot my way. It's like, don't listen to this guy, you know? And it's like, who cares? Like, I mean, if I took the time to care, I wouldn't be doing videos. Like, look at my channel. I've got fucking over 800 videos and I got 32 subscribers, probably less today. You know, I probably lost 1 or 2 and because of my last, you know, handful of videos. You know, and, you know, I can always hear the critics because, you know, like I've run a channel fairly consistently since 2016. Overall in those years, I can pretty much confidently say I've averaged at least 1 video a week since 2016. And so I can hear all the critics all the time. You know, you hear them all. I mean, I've been doing what I'm doing with my channel arguably since 2007. And so I was already hearing all the critics, all the bullshit. You hear all the bullshit all the time. And so then when I started the channel, of course, I knew it was going to be this. And it is the same. It's always the same. It's like the NPC response. All homeless or lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility for their lives, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so, but I know, I hear the critics all the time. Like it's been embedded in my brain, almost like some kind of brainwashing program that is just embedding this shit into my head all the time. But it's funny, like if you just do a very minimal amount of research on content creating in general, like, and I'm talking just any kind of content creating, whether it's painting, like painting paintings, writing songs and playing songs, you know, doing YouTube videos, any kind of content creating. There's a basic statistic with content creating in general, and that statistic is that only about 10%. You take the best content creators, you know, take the best ones, whether it's music, art, film, video, YouTube videos and shit, any kind of content creating, the best ones, right? You take the best ones and do an aggregate of how much of their content is quality versus just like kind of just like whatever, the best a person could do at content creating is like 10 to 15% of their content is quality. And the 85 to 90% is basically just shit, okay? And so, and that's really discouraging, you know, because it's like, well, why do it then, you know? And that's a fair point. But then there are people who are like, you know, who are creative, that are determined, you know, and so they don't care. They're just like, well, I'm going to do it anyways, even though 10% of my content is going to be quality, or 15% at most is going to be quality, and the rest is going to be shit. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyways. I got nothing to lose, you know. I mean, seriously, like you could take the greatest. Let's say you're a really big fan of Black Sabbath, you know. I would say you have good taste in music, okay? But if you were to do an aggregate, like of all Black Sabbath songs, only about 15% are like quality, where it's like, bam, like really fucking hard-hitting shit, like The Wizard or something, right? But then like 85% of it is just kind of filler. It's just like, it's just like a forgettable song. It's like, yeah, whatever, you know, you just listen to it until the next Iron Man, then Iron Man plays, and you're like, yeah, or whatever, you know. But anyway, so that's the way it is, you know. So, so my videos are just like, you know, or it's just like that. It's just like, that's just the way it goes, and I don't care, you know, whatever. But and anyways, so I've talked about cigarettes before in videos, you know, because to me it's pretty relevant, and people don't think it's relevant, you know, they really don't, which is what's super funny. Is like, okay, so you're going to take COVID as this big deal. OMG, COVID. Or on the other side of that spectrum is you're going to take the vaccines real serious. OMG, the COVID vax, you know. So on one side of the spectrum, you got everybody's dropping like flies from COVID. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, you've got everybody's dropping like flies from the COVID vaccine. But it's all the same hysteria. Like when you look at everybody's dropping like flies from AIDS, everybody's dropping like flies from having sex. So stop having sex because AIDS, you know. Or everybody's dropping like flies from doing drugs, you know. Say no to drugs, you know. This is your brain on drugs, you know. Everybody's dying from doing drugs. AIDS. It's all the same. It's the same then as it is now. COVID. Or the vax. The vaccine. It's all the same shit. And cigarettes, smoking kills. You're dying. Everybody's dying. You're gonna die from smoking, you know. But here's the question. The question is, if smoking is really this big thing that is just wiping all these people out, why didn't they do the same response with cigarettes that they did with COVID? Because if you look at the numbers, far more people are allegedly dying from smoking cigarettes than they are from COVID. Okay? Now look at the difference in response. COVID and cigarettes. COVID, they want to force the fucking cure on you. They're like, oh no, we're going to lock you down and force you to take the cure for COVID. But with cigarettes, just, you know, we're not going to be forcing the cure on you. The cure for cigarette, you know, no. Not at all. Not even in the least. We're just going to put billboards everywhere that say you're going to die from cigarettes. But we're not going to do anything. But with COVID, oh, we have to help everybody. It's so important that we help save everyone from COVID that we're going to force the cure on you. But more people are dying from cigarettes than from COVID. So why wouldn't they do the same thing with cigarettes? Like lock everybody down, um, ban cigarettes, like stop the sale of all cigarettes, lock everyone down, start, doing everything they can to pull some fucking vaccine cure out of their ass and then start trying to force it on all the smokers. Why is there why is there this massive difference in response with COVID versus cigarettes? COVID, they're forcing everybody to get the cure and locking everyone down because everybody's dying from COVID, right? But cigarettes, even though everybody's dying from cigarettes, they're not locking everybody down and locking the stores down and forcing no. So this is a big inconsistency with the health industry and all this messaging about how important our health is and how much the government cares about our health. And so when you have this massive contradiction, if you were to take, supposedly everybody's dying from cigarettes and cigarettes are really bad, and then supposedly COVID is really bad and everybody's dying from COVID, but then you look at the difference in response to these things. One, they fucking elevate it like it's this big important thing. The other one is just like, whatever, we'll just keep throwing fear porn commercials and billboards everywhere. But outside of that, if you want to, die from smoking cigarettes, go ahead. We don't care. We put up the billboard. We put out the commercials, so you should know because you're supposed to believe. If there's billboards everywhere that say you're going to die from smoking cigarettes, well, you should believe it, And if there's commercials everywhere that say you're going to die from smoking cigarettes, you should just believe it. But with COVID, it's not just put billboards up and commercials. No, it's like lock everybody down, spread this massive hysteria campaign, force injection, masks. Everybody has to wear a mask, Why is there this big difference in response with health where one is like they care so much about your health that they're going to force it upon you, whereas the other one, even though the other one's worse, more people are dying and getting sick from that one. It's like, who cares? And so you can rationalize all this away. You can start rambling off about how, the reason is because tobacco this and the statistics of this or that and everything, and you can rationalize all this away, but it doesn't change the fact that there's a massive contradiction in messaging, and how can you expect people to believe the health industry at all, whether they say smoking is bad and will kill you or they say COVID is bad and will kill you? How can you expect anybody to believe it? So how can you expect me to believe that cigarettes is this really evil, bad thing, and everybody that does it is they're gonna die a terrible, horrible, painful death? How can you expect me to believe that? Because if society cares as much about people's health in general as society claims, well, they would have done something about cigarettes a long time ago. They would have done the same response with cigarettes that they did with COVID. But see, they didn't. And so because there's this massive contradictory messaging going on, you can't believe. And then you look at COVID. Like, so anyway, so I smoke cigarettes, right? And so then I'm talking with some friends and the subject of smoking cigarettes comes up. And it's like, oh yeah, of course it's always the same, cigarettes will kill you. People, you're just going to shit your brains out your asshole and die a terrible, horrible death like that from smoking cigarettes and all that. It's like, if cigarettes is that bad, why aren't there like cigarette rehabilitation centers that I can access using my Medicare or something, where I can go and put myself into an inpatient program for cigarette smokers where they basically they lock me up, and then we do groups once a day, and we do these things, and take measures like to help get people off of cigarettes if cigarettes is so bad, you know. Why wouldn't they have any kind of like resource for like a smoker like me to ensure that I actually have some kind of resource that I can get get off of cigarettes and start healing. You know, it's like, no, you do it on your own. Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Smoking is really bad. You'll shit your brains out your asshole. It'll be a terrible death, but just figure it out on your own. Go fuck off. But COVID, oh, we're going to force treatment on you with COVID. Like, so, yeah, like if there were accessible treatment programs for me, to where I can go and get inpatient treatment, where I can put myself in an inpatient treatment program for like a month, where it's specifically designed to get me off of cigarettes, I would have done it already. I totally would have. But like, there's nothing. And this is another thing, like I said, I can hear the critics always constantly. The critics, oh, they're 1-800-NO-BUTTS. Like, that's all there is 1-800-NO-BUTTS. Have you ever called 1-800-NO-BUTTS? Basically, what 1-800-NO-BUTTS is, when you call it, they basically tell you that, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And they send you a little packet that tells you that you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's all 1-800-NO-BUTTS is. And 1-800-NO-BUTTS is funded, 100% funded by the tobacco industry, because the tobacco industry lost a lawsuit. And so as a result, the tobacco industry was forced to put out 1-800-NO-BUTTS. But you see, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say, hey, the 1-800-NO-BUTTS was put is a tobacco industry created 1-800-NO-BUTTS. They don't tell you that. Like, you have to learn that on your own. You know, you have to find that out by doing research on it. Every commercial you've ever seen about that smoking is bad and it will kill you, all those commercials are all put out by the tobacco industry because of the lawsuit that the tobacco industry lost, and that forced them. Which that's just pocket change to the tobacco industry to put out some commercials that fear porn commercials that tell you smoking is bad and you'll shit your brains out your asshole and die a terrible death. All those commercials are put out by tobacco industries that is mandated by the government. And the amount of money that tobacco industry has to allocate to anti-smoking campaigning is like to them, it's like, you know, $1 a year or something. Like, to them, it's like nothing. It's like losing $1. You know, like you have $1 in your pocket, and then you're like, where's that $1 I just had in my pocket? Oh, well, like, to the tobacco industry, who cares? I lost $1. Who cares? Right? And so all this anti-smoking campaigning on commercials and billboards and, you know, all this stuff, it's all put out by the tobacco industry. And the only recovery services there are for smokers is 1-800-NO-BUTTS. Like, again, there is no, like, if I believed all of this fear porning about smoking and I wanted to quit, and so I started looking around, like, is there some kind of program that will help me, like some inpatient thing or something, you know, like there is for heroin and all these other things. There is nothing for quitting smoking except for 1-800-NO-BUTTS. And like I said, all 1-800-NO-BUTTS will do is get your address and send you a packet that's like a 30-page thing, basically lecturing you on how you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's it. So just for me, it's really difficult for me to take all this serious about how smoking is really bad. It's just this terrible thing, and everybody's just dropping like flies from smoking cigarettes. it's just more of the same bullshit. Like, you see this bullshit constantly, all the time, this fear porn bullshit constantly. And it's always proven through empirical evidence to be the same cry wolf scenario. And why are there these big cry wolf campaigns? Because it brings them tons of money. You know, if they can fucking spread all this fear porn, crying wolf, they can generate all this money coming in, because the people that get all hysterical and scared because of it, they all send their money. Oh, you know, we need to send money because there's this child trafficking epidemic. And so everybody's like, oh my God, send money. Oh, you know, we need to, do fundraisers and awareness campaigns because of COVID. You know, doctors need to get paid $30,000 for every COVID death. Oh, and all this tax money, all this money goes to support all this fear porning, fear campaign. And it's all about money. It's not about your health or my health. It's about making money. And so, it's like the problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem. Cigarettes, cancer, death by cigarettes problem. And then they come in and champion themselves like the solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Create the problem. Then everybody gets all scared. Oh my God, cigarettes is killing everyone. And then they come in with the solution. And it's always some half-assed, retarded, lame shit. And so after a while, when you see this year after year after year for 5 decades, it's like, why would I believe it when the big campaign is that everybody's dying from cigarettes and smoking is bad? I'll end it with this. I took a psychology of death and dying course, and it was really good. It was so good that I tried to take it a second time, because the instructor was amazing. This guy was just like really, he was like, it was a great college course. It's called The Psychology of Death and Dying. Okay. I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah. And in one of his lectures, he made a really good point. And so this is basically what he said. It's verbatim. It's not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's pretty close to verbatim. He said, hold on to the little crazies because they keep the big crazies away. Okay. Now for me, that's what cigarettes is. Cigarettes is holding on to the little crazies, because the little crazies keep the big crazies away. And like an example of that for me is like, which is more crazy, smoking cigarettes or smoking crack? Which is more crazy, smoking cigarettes or freebasing fucking fentanyl? Okay, which is more crazy, smoking cigarettes or drinking a fucking 12-pack of beer every night? Which is more crazy? And so that's what this is for me. This is me holding on to the little crazies to keep the big crazies away. It's like a teaspoon of sugar helps the medicine go down. Oh, sugar is the most evil thing in the whole wide world. Everybody's dying from diabetes. You don't want to put sugar in your medicine. A teaspoon of sugar does not help the medicine go down. You're going to die from sugar. It just never ends. There's always something. And then when you start to consider what I'm saying and you look around, it's like constant 24/7 fear porn. Everything, you're gonna die. Everything is a death. A death sentence, no matter what it is. Oh, you drink soda pop, you're gonna die from diabetes. It doesn't. It's always something, dude. And so I've been, cigarettes is a thing for me. It's something. And so because I smoke cigarettes, like I consider this, like I smoke cigarettes and then COVID-19 happens. And then after a while of observing COVID-19, I start to connect the dots, as so to speak, where it's like, wait a second, if cigarettes is way worse by the numbers and the so-called science than COVID, well then why are they making such a massive deal about COVID, and why have they never made such a massive deal about cigarettes? See, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if more people are dying from cigarettes than they are from COVID, but the response is the opposite, where everybody's freaking out about COVID and nobody's really freaking out at all about cigarettes. That doesn't make any sense. That's a complete, that is like a pure inconsistency in messaging. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And as Judge Judy said, so eloquently states, if it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. See you, boys.